You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast, where it's finally upon us. The Ashes squads are out, and we're going to be talking about Australia on today's episode. I'm Jack Hope. I am joined by Max Rowe Brown. Max, 2 weeks away. How excited are you? Where are you at in terms of Ashes frenzy?
11 days to go. The Australia squads being out, I think, has it's a good demarcation point for it's time to get ready. I think there's a moment. I talked about Christmas last time. There's a moment when it comes to Christmas gets ramped up. I love Christmas. I'm a big Christmas boy, and you start to feel it. You start to feel the excitement. It's like, oh, it's coming. We're all going to the pub. Everyone's down tools. It's fun time, and I think we've hit that point. That's where we are. I think everyone else is getting a bit excited as well, aren't they? Around the world, it's causing people to do silly things. Donald Trump's going to sue the BBC. Tesla are going to pay Elon Musk $1 trillion. Everyone's lost their minds, and it's because the Australia squads are out and the Ashes is upon us. That's it.
I think there probably is a link between that. I don't know if anyone's done any regression analysis on the link between $1 trillion pay packets and the announcement of Steve Smith as captain for the first test.
Yeah, as long as you don't control for any other variables, I think there'll be a strong link.
Yeah, I agree. Right, before we get going, just to let people know, you need to click like and subscribe on whichever platform you're listening on. That means you, person out there who is listening to this content and has not clicked like and subscribe,
dear listener,
do all of that. Yeah, leave us a review on Spotify or Apple as well. Everything helps there. And tell a friend, pass it on, put it in your Discords, your WhatsApps, your Telegrams, wherever else people congregate digitally. We should get. It will never happen. But maybe we should get stickers with a QR code on that beams people through to
it's a good idea.
Wherever they listen to their podcasts.
Would it just be the QR code? So no other context, just here's a QR code and I dare you to scan it, or
no, it would have get your free Bitcoin here on the sticker.
Nice.
Yeah, like a call to action, a strong call to action associated with our brand. Max, this is the way we're going to do things. We're going to talk about the Australia squad. We've got the names. There's a couple of new guys, so we'll have a little chat about them. Then we're going to rank the Australians, not probably all of them, or maybe categorised slightly by fear factor from an English point of view. Who are the most feared, the most fearsome Australians in this squad, and who's going to have the biggest impact on the Ashes? Do we think in advance? Later, not on this episode, we'll probably have a look into the England squad in a little bit more detail. Maybe do a little bit of a comparison. Unit for unit, batters v batters, all-rounders v all-rounders, bowlers v bowlers, keeper v keeper, coach v coach, fans v fans.
Who'd win in a fight?
I think, it depends on the fight, isn't it? I think global conflict, I still think England are the overdogged. In a fist fight between the cricketers, which I think is what you meant, but
That's
just to
indeed,
clarify
yes.
my
mano a mano.
Yeah. I think the Australians have probably got the edge. Look, we know Stokes has got a heavy hand. As they
it
say,
is 16 against 15 though, so that might make a difference.
Okay, well maybe that does change things. I think England are carrying a couple of people when it comes.
I
to
reckon
a fight.
Shai Bashir might be worth -1.
Yeah, Ollie Pope. Do you see him doing well in a punch up?
He could be put to use, I reckon. He could be the kind of guy that kicks sand in the face. Kick someone in the balls, maybe. Goes below the belt. Didn't take us long to digress, did it?
No, look, so I've set out what we're going to do. And then the last thing I wanted to say is that we'll do, I think, a classic cricket podcast draft prior to the Ashes for our final predictions on top runs, top wickets, best player, biggest flop, who will win, score predictions, etc.
The arena in which I tend to excel, as any regular listeners will know.
I think I've won every single one of those, I believe. Every single one. There's a cat in the background, which is.
And has anyone done a
Ow.
regression between whether Jack decides what the points are and whether Jack wins? I don't know.
Look, the Australian squad. Let's get to it. Like and subscribe. The Australian squad. Stephen Smith, Sean Abbott. I think it's an alphabetical order. That I'm going to read this out. Scott Boland, Alex Carey, Brendan Doggett, Cameron Green, Josh Hazelwood, Travis Head, Josh Inglis, Usman Khawaja, Marnus Labuschagne, Nathan Lyon, Mitchell Stark, Jake Weatherald, Bo Webster, and obviously Pat Cummins will join the team. We believe for the second test. I think that's being confirmed, but I'm not sure whether he'll play the final three or all of the final three. Max, first of all, start with an overview. There's some new names in there. What do you think of that squad?
It's answered a couple of questions, I suppose, one of which being a question they had to answer. Who were they going to pick to open the batting, or at least as an option to open the batting, because we don't even know if that's the route they'll go down yet. And I think the names that were thrown out, Sam Constas, who has had a go a couple of times, Jake Weatherald, the man with the Sheffield Shield record, Matt Renshaw, a man who has played and doesn't seem to have a Sheffield Shield record, but was around there anyway. People throwing in Cameron Bancroft because it's funny, and Nathan McSweeney, another touted name who's been around the squad a couple of times. And it's Jake Weatherald that they've gone with. He averages about 50 in the Sheffield Shield, or in first-class cricket in his career, about 53 and a half, I think it was last year. So pedigree in red ball cricket. 31 years of age as of a couple of days ago. So, not young and up and coming like Sam Constas, but perhaps the safe choice. And I think that is something that people have commented on with this squad. Perhaps a safe decision. That's probably about the only question we had. Maybe I think this, with the bowling. There was always a question about who would be the backups, but they're going to be the backups, right? So Brendan Doggett is one name, and Sean Abbott's in there. I think we probably expected him to be around. And other than that, not particularly surprising.
Yeah, I think it's interesting the way they've gone. Thinking about trying to put that into an 11 rather.
Well, it depends on Cameron Green's ability to bowl, doesn't it? Seems to be that seems to be the accepted logic at the moment.
Yeah. All right. So we'll talk me through that then. So let's assume Cameron Green is able to bowl. How do we expect the Australians to shape up for the first test?
So if Cameron Green can bowl and bowl a decent quota of overs, bearing in mind he's been working his way back from injury. He's tried a bit, had a couple of setbacks, not bowled as much in the red ball as he would have liked, but is planning to in the upcoming round of fixtures. I think the plan was for him to bowl like around 20 overs split across 2 innings. If he comes through that and he's able to bowl, then it's likely, I think, that Bo Webster would drop out. Cameron Green would drop down to 6. You'd have Labuschagne at 3, Smith at 4, Head at 5, Green at 6. Your classic 3 to 6 that you'd expect from Australia. And then Jake Weatherald would probably come in and open with Uzi Khawaja. But if Cameron Green can't bowl, then the question is, do you play Jake Weatherald, or do you start doing the moving around Rubik's Cube that they've been doing in recent times? Labuschagne opens the batting, Green bats at 3, where he did okay in the West Indies on some pretty tricky pitches. But 2 people playing sort of out of position. And then it becomes, you have the arguments about whether you want your specialist open and all the rest of it. But I think, it's a question of the 4th bowler, because, you'll have your 3 seamers and a spinner, most likely. Cameron Green and Bo Webster fighting it out, or perhaps both playing, depending on whether Cam Green can bowl. And that's sort of where it is. So I would just question whether it's worth trying to shoehorn Cam Green in if he can't bowl, bearing in mind the fact that it messes up where people would normally bat. Is batting Cam Green at 3 that much of an upgrade over opening with an opener instead of Labuschagne, and Labuschagne batting at 3, who scored 5 centuries in his last 8 games? That's the question.
I actually think Marnus Labuschagne has sort of made this question a little bit harder because I
by
think
batting so well.
Yeah. I think a month ago he was almost disposable to the Australians.
Yeah, cut and dry.
You could have opened with him, and if he was rubbish, you get rid of him and you play someone else. It leaves you completely free to play head at number 3 and probably play head at number 3 with kind of the pressure off as a selection team or as a selection committee, because if Green comes off, great, he bats at number 3. If Labuschagne comes off and Green doesn't, Labuschagne drops down to number 3. If they both come off, happy days, you win the Ashes. And if neither work, you blame Marnus Labuschagne and you pick a new opener and you get away with picking Green at number 3. But now Labuschagne has been so good, it seems like a complete no-brainer to pick a guy who actually has serious Test pedigree in his best position. And then you have Labuschagne, Smith, and Head all, able to bat where they want with proven track records, probably still somewhere near, maybe not in Smith's case, but he's, the peak of his ability was nuts. But at a high level of ability, I would say. I based on how they've all gone over, let's say the last year. I know Head's a little bit out of form, but I think that's a pretty solid 3, 4, 5.
And I think from thinking about it with England looking at the Australia side, and you're like, maybe you get through an opener, and then you're faced with Labuschagne, Smith, and Head, and you're like, here we fucking go again, right? There is an element of that to it as well.
Absolutely. So I don't know. I mean, like I think it's strange to have Cameron Green in this, like, as a cricket. I think it's strange to have Cameron Green as the kind of pivotal selection, if you like. If I was, and I know, he's the only player under 30 in their squad, which makes him
unbelievable.
They are an old team. Someone told me, I think it was on our Discord, which you can join if you become a patreon.com/thecricketpod. I think Alex on there said that if you added Ian Botham and David Gower to England's squad, they would still be younger on average than the Australians. I think both of them are septuagenarians now, so it's
good going.
That is some go. They are an elderly squad, and Cameron Green is like at 26 is kind of the youngster and the hope for the future. Having said all of that, I'm still not 100% sure if I'd be making suboptimal selections with other players to fit him in, regardless of whether he can bowl or not. He's probably a bit better than Bo Webster as an all-rounder. So I think that totally makes sense. If he is able to bowl, but if he can't bowl, I wouldn't pick him. I would probably go with Weatherald, and I don't know if that will come off, but he is an opener. He has a pretty decent track record. His overall first-class record isn't fantastic, but he is a little bit of a late bloomer with quite an interesting story, and I don't think really. I mean, obviously took cricket seriously to some extent, but by his own admission, perhaps wasn't the best trainer earlier in his career. So maybe he's only realising his potential a little bit later. But so you got Khawaja and Weatherald. It's not the greatest opening pair in the world at the stages in their respective careers and how they both ended up there. But then you've got a fairly solid 3, 4, 5, I think, if you're Australia. I guess they'll start with Carey over Inglis, but that's up for grabs. If Cameron Green can bowl, then Cameron Green, and then the bowling sort of takes care of itself. Obviously, you'd rather have Cummins over Boland, but you're sort of fine with Boland. That's what I would be doing. But I can see Australia and the Australian selectors talking themselves into some sort of alternate version of that team, which would probably still be fine, to be honest. I mean, like, I don't. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm happy to say I haven't been massively wowed in the first 30 tests of Cameron Green's career, but I don't think I can see that there is potential there, and there is a player there. Like, it's not a ridiculous selection to try and force him into the team, because he does look quite good, even if the returns so far haven't been spectacular.
he was pretty good last time out when England were over. In Australia, I think I seem to remember him getting Joe Root out quite a lot.
Obviously that series doesn't really count because of COVID, so I don't remember.
That is true.
Yeah, he's like if he is able to bowl, he's a fine bowling option. I think it's good, isn't it, having a guy who's like 6'10" and can bowl 85 miles an hour plus. Like that is handy to have as an extra bowler. But yeah, so I think that's probably where they're at. Anything else you want to say on any of those Australians before we take a quick break, and then come back with fear factor?
No, I don't think there's a huge amount. I was wondering whether there might be a curveball in terms of the bowling selection. Whether because it's Perth and it's fast and it's bouncy, whether they might take the opportunity to play someone a bit different. Maybe they chuck Brendan Doggett in instead of Boland because maybe that's the kind of game he'd be more suited to. But I don't see it. Brendan Doggett's taken, I think, 16 wickets so far in Sheffield Shield. He's just off the back of a fifer in the current game that's going on against Tasmania. But Scott Bowen's taken 14 wickets, so like it just doesn't. Yeah, I can't see it. I was trying to find something interesting, some sort of curveball, some unexpected selection we might see, and if there's a way Australia might find a way of doing it, but I don't see it. I think, like you said, the rest is pretty cut and dried.
I think there are some teams in the world that might consider that. I don't think Australia are one of them, basically.
Yeah,
like there's two ways to kind of read the overall piece for the selection. One is that this is sort of a team of largely great players with an amazing track record, particularly in Australia, particularly against England, that select themselves, and then until they decide they want to not beat England by retiring, you should let them go out and beat England.
That is how you end up with a squad of old gits.
Yeah, the other is to say maybe there is a little bit of safety and a little bit of lack of ambition with the selection. I think personally, if I was Australian, I'd be quite comfortable with the players that they've named. I don't. And I think the 11 that we went through there, I'd be quite comfortable with that as well. I wouldn't be asking for new blood to replace anyone. I don't see. Well, what are you going to do? Move on Nathan Lyon to give Todd Murphy some game time in an Ashes series? I don't think that's realistic, is it? Like
it's almost like it's like a really nice opportunity for a testimonial of sorts, isn't it? It's like a testimonial Ashes. They're not. It's not an exciting. There's not fireworks, but they're all gonna still win because they're all good enough to win.
Yeah, look, and they took down India last year in a pretty close series. They were pretty close to winning the World Test Championship. The pitch changed substantially when they were in a position of authority in that match.
With Labuschagne opening in green at 3, no less.
Yeah, like they might not be kind of the defining team of their era, Australia. It's they probably haven't dominated the world for an extended period, but they have dominated England, especially in Australia, and they come close to winning away twice as well, which obviously hasn't happened since 2001. So this is a pretty decent side. I don't, based on recent performances, I don't think there's any reason to expect or to be covetous of new blood if you are Australian. I think I'd be happy with what you got. Ride it one more time. Max, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we are, after I've built them up there, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts a little bit more and fear factor. Yeah, Max, you're going to have to think of 3 categories of fear during the break, and we will sort the Australians into the categories of fear that you come up with. Carte blanche to come up with whatever you like there.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast, where we're here talking about the Australian cricket team prior to the Ashes. We'll be doing something similar with England pretty soon. We'll be doing some predictions on another episode, and then we'll be getting into the main event starting in just 11 days' time at the point of recording. I'm Jack. I'm joined by Max. Well, Max is still here, I should say. Make sure you click like and subscribe, whichever platform you are listening or watching on. And why don't you consider supporting the show directly? Patreon.com/the Cricket Pod. From just £4 a month, you can get involved in our Discord and chat with us about cricket all through the night during the Ashes. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got quite a few people, maybe not quite a few, there's a couple of people we know going who will be on the Discord. So we should have some in-stadium updates during the course of the Ashes. Max, in this section, we will be doing an Australian fear factor, looking at the Australian team. I think we'll probably break it down. Let's do it by batters, all-rounders, keeper, and bowlers. The 4 sections that you have in a cricket team. We've got the 15 men, and we'll be dividing them into 3 categories of fear. So what is, before the break, your assignment was to come up with the categorization for this segment. What have you got? What is the least scary thing that an Australian can be?
Well, just to clarify for listeners,
oh god, it's gone esoteric.
We don't edit this particularly. It's mostly stream of consciousness. So between the break, we didn't have 2 days for me to come up with this. This is about 15 seconds. So I was going to go with films, and then I thought films. That's not much fun, is it? Because it's Australia. So let's go with Australian things. So
this is good. This is good. I like this. Yeah.
So bottom of the list, I don't know, a nice, cute, fluffy, like a wombat. Wombat's a cute
wombat.
They're fluffy. Wombat. That's the not scary category. Mid category. Maybe we'll go with a dingo. A
dingo.
You wouldn't want to run into one in the wild, but it would be. But you could, like you look at a dingo, and you're like, it's a dog. It's fine. A bit scary. I don't think a slightly scary dog. Top of the list. I don't know. You are surfing, and there is a great white shark around you, and you have just pissed yourself.
Yeah, all right, I can see that. Look, I think I like where you were going there. I was thinking Australian animals would be good. The problem, I think, with Australian animals is that they fall into really just 2 categories. There's cute and adorable, and the vicious, deadly, wants to eat you. Category.
Can you think of something to replace dingo, or are we going to go with it?
No. I thought redback spider, because
funnel webs.
They're pretty dangerous, but they don't kill people that often.
It's avoidable.
But
should we throw that in? Should we go with a redback?
I think you've said dingo, and we should.
Dingo. It's a funnier word.
Wombat, wombat, dingo, and great white shark. Max, the Australian batting unit, to remind you, was Khawaja, Weatherald, Labuschagne, Smith, Head. Let's hear your thoughts. First of all, are there any dingoes in that 6-man lineup? Not dingoes, the other one. Wombats. Let's go wombats.
Yeah, no, there's wombats for sure.
Okay, right, let's see.
I'm putting Uzi down as a wombat at the grand old age of 39. That. Yeah. He doesn't scare me. He might annoy me. He won't scare me.
I like that. I would maybe go a stretch further than that and say the uncapped debutant Jake Weatherald, also a wombat in terms of scary Australian animals.
Currently, probably fair.
That's not. Yeah. Well, look, I can only do it based on what I know, what I've seen in the past, and that is nothing. really. I mean, like,
Yeah.
if I encountered a wombat in the wild, I would assume it's cute, and I am going to encounter Jake Weatherald in the wild in 11 days, and I'm going to assume he's a wombat.
And that could be your downfall.
It could be my downfall, but you have to make these calls. You have to make these calls. That's the point of fear factor. I agree. I think this is a pretty shaky opening partnership, and I think when you see, I mean, I know Stuart Broad is a little bit of a rent-a-gob, but what did he say a couple of weeks ago? It's the weakest Australian team in 15 years. Yeah, basically since before I played for England until now.
Self-exoneration.
I played against the really tough guys. I reckon what he did was look at the team, and he's an opening bowler, right? So he's looking at who he would have been coming up against first, and he's gone, yeah, that is a downgrade on what I had to bowl against, and sort of ignored, the rest of it.
Which is
so I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go with 2 wombats there. Dingo category, Max. Who are you going to throw in as a dingo?
Yeah, look, I think Labuschagne can
Labuschagne
sneak into the dingo category. Are we going down as far as Cam Green, assuming he plays?
I've got him as an all-rounder, and we're going to do all-rounders next.
All-rounders separately. Labuschagne in with the dingoes.
I'm happy to have Labuschagne as a dingo. He could be a great white shark. It could be a dingo, a great white shark disguised as a dingo. I feel with Labuschagne, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if he did hit 5 centuries or something like that. But if you just look at his Test record recently, you have to say, I mean, they literally dropped him this year. You have to say that he isn't as scary as he used to be. Would you want to see him in the outback? His eyes glowing in the dark, as I assume dingo eyes do. No, you probably wouldn't. There's definitely a little bit of trepidation when you're around Marnus, but I don't think it's a kind of get out of the water situation when it comes to Marnus at this point. I think it'll be an interesting story. I think Marnus is going to be a fun player to follow through this series. If he fails a lot, I'm sure there'll be a lot of glee from an England point of view. I'm sure the Barmy Army will get into him. Yeah. If he doesn't, you'll get the reverse from the Australians. He's like maybe the most annoying person to watch bat, I think. And
really infuriating.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than an annoying great white shark. So let's hope it doesn't go that way. Max, am I to believe, therefore, that you're putting Steve Smith and Travis Head into the great white shark fear factor category from an England perspective?
That is correct. Despite Travis Head's travails in recent times, like he's not had the best of it, has he? He didn't. Well, he hasn't really done it in the Test matches in the last year or so. His white ball form hasn't been as good as it has been, and he's coming back into the Sheffield Shield to try and get a bit of form. So, maybe he's a slightly injured great white shark, and that could be even more dangerous, couldn't it, than your standard great white shark, which is the category in which I'd put Steve Smith. So, I think they're both quite easily able to eat England's bowlers alive and spit them out.
I agree. I mean, I know Steve Smith isn't what he was, but what he was like a great white shark.
Was a freak.
It was a great white shark crossed with a saltwater crocodile.
A shark with laser beams.
Yeah. It was preposterous. And so I think because it's England, you can't not categorize him like that. It would be great if we went Chief Brody on him, blew him up. But I think it's more likely he eats at least 2, if not 3, of the probably fairly inexperienced England bowlers in Australia for breakfast. I am imagining it will be more like the first half of Jaws. Or the first hour and 45 minutes of Jaws.
The mayor's going to walk onto the pitch within half an hour and be like, just stop.
No, I don't. The mayor, Ben Stokes will be in the mayor role, and he'll be saying, "There's nothing to worry about.
Keep the beach open, Smith guys.
Isn't going to get any runs. Just bowl at him, and next thing you know, double centuries galore." And I kind of agree on Travis Head as well. I know he's had a little bit of a lean run, but anyone as good as him is just dangerous. I can't see him not having an impact at some point in the Ashes. I think he's too good, and I think he lines up quite well against what England can offer, and he scores so quickly. I think that'll be quite a lot of fun. I mean, like Travis said, I think is clearly the most watchable and I think the most likable of the Australian batters. So I wish him well, if not everyone else. Max, let's move on to the all-rounders. We've got Cameron Green and Bo Webster, your 3 categories. You could do these 2 quite quickly. Where are you placing them? Dingo, Wombat, Great White Shark?
I think it's a double dingo. Double dingo for me.
Dingo.
Yeah. Cameron Green's a bigger dingo than Bo Webster, but both dingoes. He's been outside for a while. If he isn't even if he's bowling, he won't have been bowling properly for a long time, and that robs Cameron Green's of one of his big weapons. And Bo Webster's been quite impressive, I think, in the little time he's had in the Australia Test side. So I'm not going to look at him like he's a soft touch. Not going to walk up to him and pet him, but. I don't fear either of those as much as Steve Smith and Travis Head, as we just talked about. So, yeah.
No, I'd probably be inclined to agree with that. I can see both of them, whichever plays, or if they both play, scoring runs against England. I can definitely see that as an annoyance from an England point of view. Bo Webster has done it a couple of times for Australia, hasn't he? Where the team have been I think he definitely did it against India, and he did it in the World Test Championship on first day as well. Yeah. Score like the ball stops moving around a little bit. He's got a pretty solid technique, and he's a decent accumulator of runs. And it plays the sort of innings that take you from a bowling perspective from a position of advantage to not necessarily disadvantage, not necessarily even parity, but like takes the shine off your accomplishment. Annoying runs, tedious runs, if you like. And I think that is definitely what a dingo would do if it could play cricket. So I
annoy
agree. I think.
I mean, to be fair, most of the people we've put in that category so far are just annoying. So,
well, yeah, like I think a dingo. I reckon it would be really annoying to live around dingoes.
Like foxes. But
like a more
angrier.
Annoying fox. For sure. By the way, do in the comments on YouTube, let us know what you think about these ratings. Seeing if we're wildly off the mark.
Suggest some other categories.
I would be interested. Yeah, other categories. What's a medium danger Australian animal? The more we talk about it, the more I think you nailed it with dingo, to be honest.
Nice.
Might not rip you to shreds, but will rip up your bin bag if you don't put it in a. Maybe a Wombat would do that too. I'm not sure. Australia, they've named 2 wicket keepers as well: Alex Carey and Josh Inglis. Carey's had his moments in Ashes series. Josh Inglis. I've had a feeling for a while now that Australia would sort of rather be playing Inglis, but every time they nearly drop Carey, he does something quite important for them, and so he gets like another 2 or 3 tests. I assume he's going to start with the gloves, Carey. Dingo, Wombat, or Great White Shark.
Well, I think we can rule out Great White Shark off the bat.
Yeah. I think that's
I'm wavering, Like, I think Alex Carey, again, he's annoying. So you could go dingo, but he doesn't scare me. So maybe he's a Wombat.
Okay. You have to give me a cricketing reason. You can't just say.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Wombat. Like
there are wicket keepers who come in, at 7, and you think they are going to take. There's every chance that they're going to take the game away from us here. Maybe from a position where things are fairly even. I suppose some of those players for other teams don't bat at 7; they bat at like 4 or 5, like Rishabh Pant and people like that. But I don't know. You could compare him to Jamie Smith, perhaps. And I feel like Jamie Smith. There's a fear factor about Jamie Smith and what he can do and turn a game quickly. And with Alex Carey, I don't get that as much. I feel like he's a bit of a, I don't know, when things are good, he'll kick you while you're down kind of guy. And that's. But then if you walk out your crease, he will stump you, and a Wombat wouldn't do that. So maybe we'll go dingo after all.
No, I think that's a Wombat move.
Do you?
Mm.
A beta move.
Well, I don't know if I wouldn't describe a Wombat as beta. I just, don't. I think it's not a vicious way to get a wicket, is it?
No.
Like,
No,
I've looked up here how do wombats fight, and they use their strong cartilage-filled rear end, which they use to burrow an entrance or crush predators. And I think that roughly describes how they get
Alex
so
Carey.
like, it's the rear end being the wicketkeeper who crushed the predator. In this case, Johnny Bairstow's ego, by burrowing the ball into the stumps.
Fine. Yeah, that's Wombat it. Wombat.
I agree. I mean, like from a more serious point of view, I was trying to get AI in the background there to generate an image for YouTube of a great white shark, a wombat, and a dingo, but it wouldn't do it.
That's a shame.
From a cricketing point of view, I do think Carey is a little bit of a mid player. I don't think that's controversial at all. By all accounts, he's a really nice guy. So it's not like I'm not personally offended by Alex Carey. I think he's sort of done an all right job over his 40 tests, but
averages 35. Not bad.
I wouldn't go any further than that as well. Like in 10 tests against England as well, Max averages 21, which is
that is Wombat behaviour.
That is Wombat behaviour. That is clear Wombat. I would even go Alex Carey Wombat, Josh Inglis Dingo. I think
I agree. I was going to say Josh Inglis for the reasons I said about Alex Carey maybe not turning a game on its head. Josh Inglis, I reckon, could do that.
Yeah, I think, and I do think Inglis is the coming man.
And he has the added fear factor from an English point of view of being English.
Yeah, that tends to work out pretty badly for England when that happens. I'm not sure how many times it's happened. It definitely happened with Andrew Simons, didn't it? Although, no, wait, did he grow up in Kent? And he is Australian, so that isn't even true.
Well, a connection.
Look, there's
an England connection.
It was bad. It was bad. I think that's fair for the wicketkeepers. Then, Max, we get on to the bowlers and we'll whistle through them pretty quickly so you can get to your Cricket League AGM. Australia bowlers: Pat Cummins, Mitchell Starc, Hazelwood, Boland, Lyon, Abbott, and Doggett. Let's get the Wombats out of the way first. I think it's probably fair to put at least Abbott and Doggett into the Wombat category. I did it with Weatherald, untested, both in their 30s.
I mean, if you're going to do that, you should be consistent. The only counter I would offer to that is that Brendan Doggett does have dog in his name and therefore could be a dingo. But equally, Brendan Doggett sounds like kind of, like a fancy brand of gourmet popcorn. I can imagine, right? Brendan Doggett's like caramel coated popcorn, and that's Wombatty.
No, I'm not buying it. I think both of these players won't play, and I think from an England point of view, that is a shame.
Does make them Wombats.
Yeah. Maybe one of them gets a test depending on Cummins' fitness, but I think they're very much the reserves, and I'm happy to call them Wombats, even though when they do eventually play, they'll probably destroy England because it will be like if they do play, it will be the fourth test when England are 3-0 down and the confidence will be gone. People will be thinking about that flight home or retiring or whatever. And
will have already retired halfway through the series.
So there, but I'm going to go with Wombats. That leaves the kind of big four plus Boland, maybe the big five if you want to include Boland in that. Are any of them Wombats, Max?
I don't think so. I think you could maybe make an argument for Scott Boland given the experience he had in England in the last Ashes, but I think Scott Boland in Australia will probably be a different kettle of fish, enough to retain dingo status. And Nathan Lyon, I would also have as a dingo because although he has much pedigree of destroying England's bowlers in in a fourth innings or third innings because England's batters, obviously, because they just can't play spin of any quality. He is maybe past it. He's nearly 38, and
yeah, but he's a spinner, isn't he?
He's not been great in. He's not. He's been fine, right? He's been serviceable for Australia, but he's not been the menace that I think we've seen in the past. So I think he's probably in that category as well. But again, like it's Nathan Lyon and it's England, so eight for 40 is incoming at some point.
I think Nathan Lyon is still a fine spinner. He hasn't actually, interestingly, hasn't started the Sheffield Shield season that well. 2, 4, 6 wickets for quite a lot of runs across the 3 matches he's played there. So is he past it argument maybe bolstered slightly by that, but I think overall he will probably have an impact on the series. He's a very good spin bowler. I imagine. I imagine if the pitches, I imagine if the pitches even gets to deep into a test match, and I do have my suspicions that they might be quite lively, and we might be seeing a lot of 3.5 day tests. Then I think Lyon will have an impact.
It's more like 5, 10, 5, 6, 7 years ago, probably close to Great White Shark, but not so much.
I would agree with that. Maybe even the last Test series, last Ashes in Australia. To be honest, I think like what he's so good at is just being a constant threat. Yes. It's not like he doesn't necessarily do magic balls the way Ashwin did, or rip it absolutely miles or anything like that. But he can bowl like 20 overs.
Yeah,
and every over will ask a question, and
relentless.
You can't be a Wombat if you do that. No. Even now,
no, that's true.
I think he's still got that in his locker. I'm going to throw Boland, but you said Boland as a dingo. Our heart wants him to be a Wombat. I want to make a big statement and say Boland's a Wombat. But
I can't get it out of my mind, Jack. That I can't get that spell out of my mind. I remember exactly what was going on as well, because I'd signed up unbeknownst to, not unbeknownst, but without remembering. I think it was it like the 27th of December in the evening, and I'd signed up to do a guerrilla cricket commentary stint at maybe 2 a.m, and it was very clear the way the game was going, and I at that point was basically cheering Scott Boland on to finish it, so that I didn't have to go and do that, and I could go to bed. And he did it for me. So thank you, Scott, for that moment. But it was memorable.
Okay, well, look, on the basis of that, and not his last performance against England, I will leave Boland as a dingo. You can make an argument, I think, for Boland. That he could be all 3 categories. The hardest one,
depending on the venue, right?
let's sit on the fence and go dingo with a shark's head, and not the sinuousy rear end of a wombat. Maybe
the chubby furry middle,
wombat's head. Yes, a chubby furry middle of a wombat and a dingo's legs.
Yeah. Now get AI to draw that.
That's Scott Boland. And that leaves Hazelwood, Stark, and Cummins. I think they are all tiers of Great White Shark.
Oh yeah, it's a pack.
To be honest,
it's a pack.
There are a pack of Great White Sharks. It's just what we didn't want to see in the ocean. The only saving grace for England is that Pat Cummins is going to miss probably at least 2 of the matches.
Mm-hmm.
And Mitchell Stark, you might be clutching at straws a little bit, but there may be question marks about whether he can bowl as well as at top tier, at Great White Shark tier level bowling.
Yeah,
for 5 consecutive matches. There are arguments, there are question marks about that.
But remember that the second test is a day-nighter at Brisbane, though, and Mitchell Stark's record in pink ball test is disgusting, and that game is going to last 2 days. So exactly. It's basically a day off.
I think, well, when you put it like that, I think it's pretty fair to put the ball in the Great White Shark category, which sums up, well, which wraps up rather the fear factor. That I think is the end of the Australian squad preview.
Yep.
We'll do something similar with England. We will do a prediction show. That will all be coming up pretty soon. Ross is even coming back from Japan and his honeymoon to join us.
He's cut his honeymoon short for the Ashes preview.
Cut his honeymoon
what a guy.
short. We'll run through that again. Wombats in the Australian team, so you can quote this to us later. We've got Khawaja, Weatherald. We threw Alex Carey in, and Doggett and Abbott if they play. We're also in Wombat tier. Dingoes. We've got Nathan Lyon, Scott Boland, Josh Inglis, Bo Webster and Cameron Green, and Marnus Labuschagne, which leaves the Great White Sharks, Max, the most feared Australian players: Steve Smith, Travis Head, Pat Cummins, Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood. Who is the king Great White Shark in that pack of Great White Sharks?
Oh, that's a good question to round off on. I don't know. There is something in me that's almost saying it's Mitchell Starc, but again, mate, I'm remembering Rory Burns' first ball behind the legs and the pink ball stuff.
That was pure Great White Shark behaviour.
It was,
wasn't
it?
That was the opening scene of Jaws in cricket. Like it couldn't have been worse for England or that poor woman. Yeah, I don't know. I okay, you go Stark. I can't until Steve Smith retires. I think he'll always be the most feared.
Yeah, and Ross, I think, would say the same, given he spent about 2 full days of watching cricket, watch Steve Smith bat. So
I think it's longer than that now. Yeah, it's bad. Look, that's it. Thanks very much for listening or watching, everyone. Make sure you click like and subscribe. This is the end of this episode of the Cricket Podcast. There'll be loads more Ashes stuff to come. Make sure you join us, and goodbye.
Goodbye.